Madam Speaker, a recent announcement by the FCC Chairman Janikowski to impose new burdensome regulation on the Internet, on the Internet transmission, appears to me to be a political maneuver to regulate the Internet. Several weeks ago, he indicated he was not going to push for net regulation. Now, he is. There is no economic or legal justification for this move, and the result will be a freeze in the investment and innovation we have seen over the past 20 years. The Internet is the most powerful platform for innovation ever created, and by his actions, Chairman Janikowski is endangering the Internet's deployment and ultimately its innovation. Our current free market pro-investment policies have served us well. In fact, according to the FCC's own National Broadband Plan, 95% of all Americans have access to broadband, and approximately 200 million subscribers have broadband at home today, up from 8 million just 10 years ago. By comparison, it took 90 years to go from 8 million voice subscribers to 200 million under the old Title II Common Carrier regulations. Ironically, the chairman's laudable goal of maximizing broadband deployment and adoption will be most harmed by his announcement. Will Rogers once said that, quote, "things in our country run in spite of the government, not by the aid of it," end quote. He was not, of course, talking about the Internet, but his words still ring true today. The rise of the Internet itself is a truly great deregulatory story. What started as a government-run network for sharing research has now exploded into a force for mass communications, entertainment, and commerce. When we turn it over to the private sector and lifted restrictions on its use by commercial entities and the public. The unregulated Internet is now starting to help spur a new technological innovation in this country. Where there were once separate phone, cable, wireless, and other industries providing distinct and separate services, we're now seeing a confluence and a blur of providers all competing against each other for consumers, offering broadband, voice, and video services, and much more. The Apple iPod is a perfect example of the confluence of the Internet, the TV, and the computer, which will then be followed by other exciting products. Lines of technology are being blurred all the time. In fact, a few years ago, you had to have separate platforms for each additional individual TV technology. Now your computer becomes your TV doubles for your computer, and your wireless device becomes your TV and your computer and your phone and your camera. We'll see more of this convergence in the years to come if we remain on the current deregulatory path. However, the FCC appears to want to change course. In response to the FCC's announcement, I plan to introduce a bill, the Internet Investment, Innovation, and Competition Preservation Act, that would prevent the FCC from regulating the Internet or Internet transmission absent a market failure. My bill would require the FCC to conduct a rigorous market analysis before mandating new network regulations. The FCC would need to prove that regulations are indeed necessary. Chairman Janikowski has said on numerous occasions that he wants to make sure that the FCC is the most data-driven agency. Well, let's see the data. Let's see the data showing there's a need for regulation before you do it, Mr. Chairman. With our economy still struggling, now is the worst time to impose new regulations on the Internet and on Internet service providers. Yet this is exactly what the FCC is going to try to do. Communication companies are among the few companies still investing billions of dollars into our economy in these very difficult financial times. Net regulation will discourage investment and innovation precisely when we need it the most, and especially in light of our push to increase broadband deployment in this country. The FCC's announcement is a perfect example of how regulation meant to help can actually hurt our policy goals while taking more money out of American taxpayers' pockets. I'm reminded again, Madam Speaker, of another Will Rogers quote when he said, "Be thankful we're not getting all the government we're paying for," end quote. Our history of communication policy is rife with examples of the best regulatory intentions going awry. More often than not, advances come despite regulation, or, as with our Internet policy over the past couple of decades, from our decisions not to regulate. With that, I yield back.